Hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Kim from Miss Kim's Children's Music. My special guest today is Mr. Mike Carthan for our vlog all about that bass guitar. He's going to tell us all about the bass guitar, but first we're going to play a cool song together. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a wonderful musical instrument. Can you tell me a little bit about the bass guitar?
So this is actually a low-end 4-string bass musical instrument.
Okay, almost like a guitar. How is it different from a guitar?
Similar to a guitar. The only difference is this pretty much plays a lot of the low end. Is a rhythm type instrument that locks with drums, of course.
Okay.
Whereas a guitar, you're playing more chords or even some like lead licks and things of that nature.
Gotcha.
So
by low end you mean low, like if I make my voice go low.
Yes.
Whereas mine is higher.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
And I see it has 4 strings. Mine has 6. My guitar has 6. Your bass guitar has 4.
Yes. Well, conventionally, the conventional bass guitars when they first were made were 4 strings, but you can get a 5-string, 6-string, all the way up to like a 12-string.
That's fascinating. Guitar. So right now we have a 4-string guitar. Maybe a little later, Mike, aka Mo Bass, will show us a 5 and anything else?
And a 6.
And a 6
string. You have a 6-string.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait. Stick around, we're going to have some fun today. So, Mike, can you tell me a little bit about the parts of your bass guitar?
Yes, so generally speaking, this is the body of the bass, the neck, the headstock, and we have a bridge, controls, volume, and blend, bass treble, and of course the pickups, which actually helps the strings to vibrate sound through the amp.
Okay, so these pickups help to vibrate these strings through this amplifier, which gives it sound.
Yes.
And without this, you couldn't play. You won't hear sound.
You
hear something, but you won't really hear.
Buzz, but you won't hear.
You won't hear it like this. Just play a little lick. And that's going through this. What do you call these things?
This is a guitar cable.
This is a cable, and that is like a plug almost, right?
Correct.
Connecting
so
it to the amp.
Plug one end into the bass and the other end into the amp, and turn your volume up, and then you get sound.
That's fascinating. So the body, it's kind of like us. We have a body, we have a neck, and we have a head.
And we have a head.
What are those little things at the top?
Oh, tuning pegs. So this is where you put the strings through to tune them, and generally they're, the bass is tuned to certain notes per string, and this is how you do that.
So it makes it sound in tune, basically.
Correct.
If it didn't sound in tune, it would sound odd.
Not good.
It would sound not pretty.
Not pretty at all.
That's fascinating.
You wouldn't want that sound.
I noticed my guitar strings are a bit thinner than yours. Why is it that the bass has a thicker string?
So because the bass guitar typically gives you those lower notes, the strings are generally thicker in width. It's called gauge, but so each of the bass strings are a lot thicker than a guitar string.
And what are they made of, the guitar strings?
Metal.
Metal?
Steel, yeah. They're like there's like a inside there's like one piece of steel that's outer twined with a different steel that kind of makes up the bass guitar.
And that's how you get the vibration that we're talking about that goes through the pickup into the cord and to the amplifier.
Correct.
Which makes sound. The amplifier makes sound.
Yes.
So I have another question. I bet there's certain ways to play this bass guitar. By that I mean, can you play it with a pick? Can you play it with your fingers? Are there certain techniques you do with a bass?
There is. So, and generally speaking, depending on what style of music that you're playing, whether it be rock, gospel, R&B, jazz, a lot of rock players sometimes use a pick, but for other genres of music, such as maybe gospel or R&B or jazz, you tend to finger.
So I would like to see that. How do you finger pick? So you're using your thumb?
Yeah, you can pick with your thumb.
So we're not using a guitar guitar pick like I use. So
We're
you
just
have a
using
bass
my
pick.
thumb, but
Use
you
your
can
thumb.
use a pick.
I have a handy dandy pick right there. So how would that sound?
Looking at it.
So you're mainly a finger picker. You like using your. You prefer using.
I prefer using my fingers.
So I prefer using a pick. Isn't that interesting? Some guitar players use their fingers too, right?
Yes. And then another way to play it is if you're doing kind of funky style music, you can what's called pat and pluck, where you're patting with your thumb, plucking with your pointer finger.
That's the best. That's my favorite. I have to say the pat and pluck.
Yes.
To me sounds.
That's what they call funky. It's funky.
Yeah. So give us a little funky lick before we go on to the next question.
Okay.
Woo! Love it! So we talked a little bit about the parts of the bass guitar. It was really cool. I kind of am curious about this big box here that we call an amplifier. It looks complex.
A little. So this is a generic 210 bass guitar amp, and primarily it has a on and off switch, which is here.
Okay, so that turns it on, or you wouldn't be able to hear. Okay.
And off, and then you get a light when it's on. You have a volume control.
What does that mean? Volume means what?
Volume just gives it a louder sound from, when you try to blend in with your band, if you're playing with the band.
So you can turn it up and down in
down.
volume.
In volume, yes.
Gotcha. So that from a
as
whisper
far as what you hear.
to very loud if you want it to be loud. Okay.
Yeah. And then you have some other controls in here like mid, low, and treble to kind of give a little color.
Color-wise, the low is like a blue.
Yes. Yes.
This would be more like what color? A yellow?
Like a yellow.
Like a yellow, and this would be like a red.
Yeah,
Like
loud,
giving it
like
like
high,
a-
punchy.
some
Not
pop.
punchy, but yeah, giving it pop.
So that's
Correct.
our colors we're using. That's fascinating, and we must have it plugged in, as we said earlier.
Yep, you
with
need the
our
cable.
Cable.
Can't do anything without a cable.
Need that cable.
Yes.
So just like in any musical instrument, they have different styles, different types of bass guitars. This one is a 5-string bass guitar. I'm kind of curious as to why you need a 5-string bass guitar, Mike.
Well, again, this is a 5-string. So what they did was they actually added a lower string, a low B string, to give you more of a bassy tone, low end, to get really, really, really deep. Because in some music, 4 strings just wasn't enough.
Wasn't
So
low enough.
It wasn't low enough.
So
they
how
wanted
does
to
it
go
sound?
lower. So that's like a low A.
Ooh, that's
so,
low.
Whereas before we were pretty much here with the D. Now we're down here into the
Wow.
B's and low A's.
So when would you pick this guitar up? What scenario would you be like, I think I'm going to use my 5 bass guitar tonight, my 5-string?
Primarily for me, gospel,
Okay.
jazz, and R&B music definitely is one that I can use.
Now you have me curious as to going from a 5 to a 6 and why.
Yes.
So let's switch guitars and see that.
Switch one more time.
So we've just incorporated a 6-string bass guitar. How, wow, it is big. I can see that size-wise, it's big. Tell me why this is wanted. Why would you would want to play this over the 5 or the 4?
So typically a 6-string. So what they did with the 5, we'll go back to, they went with a lower string to give more bass and deep. With the 6-string, they went with a higher string. And what a lot of times people use this one for is a lot of soloing work where they don't have to be all the way up on the neck. They can be a little bit more comfortable in this area when soloing and playing like chords, things of that nature on
So
the
you
bass.
can play
Where you
chords on this,
yeah.
where maybe
with you can, but it's a little
harder.
difficult
Can
on
you
a
show me
5.
what soloing would sound like on bass?
I'll
little lick?
give you a little maybe funk lick.
A little funk lick would be
soloing.
awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, that's harmonics, by the way.
Yes.
This right here is so much thicker, I gather, because it has more strings.
Yeah, so
that would be the reason why.
the neck is a lot thicker. So if you have smaller hands, it'd be a lot more difficult to play. So it takes some getting used to. It took me it was an easier transition for me going from 4 to 5.
Then from 4 to 6.
Then going from 4 to 6.
That makes sense. You kind of work your way up. You start with the 4.
Start with the 4.
Then go 5.
Then 5. And
then
then
6.
if you want to get into some soloing things, I mean, you can solo on a 4 or 5.
Right.
But,
and is that it? That's it? 6? That's it? Or is there some crazy people out there who do 7?
There's some 8s or 7s and 8s and 12s, but it's rare.
Do you have one in your repertoire? That's okay.
Something to get though.
It's something to work on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what types of jobs are there as a bass guitar player?
I'm generally speaking this primarily in a band, of course, but whether it be a band or actually as a musical, teacher giving bass lessons. Churches, a lot of churches hire and they need musicians, so they hire bass players and things of that nature. Or the last part of it, you can be a bass tech, where you travel around with major bands, and you're the setup person, repair person, and you make sure that all the tonations and things, tuning, repairs are done for a major artist and a major group.
So if you're not really into performing, maybe you like to play with the toying around with these buttons, knobs, and fixing things, then the tech would be
part of it.
The tech would be a kind of a cool job. What is your job?
I'm primarily a bass guitar player. I play in several different bands. I play with Miss Kim.
I knew that already, but you didn't know that.
In the Kim Yarson band. I actually play in church as well.
And hopefully in the Miss Kim's band when we're allowed to be out more.
Once things open back up.
We're excited about that.
I'll be back out there with Miss Kim. So come on out and see us.
Yay! I want to thank you, Mr. Mike Mo Bass. Is his nickname Mo Bass, as in more bass, right? Short for...
Yeah, more basses.
More bass.
I have a lot. So.
We thank him for joining us today and learning all about that bass guitar. We hope you have a wonderful time learning all about the bass guitar.
Yes.
And more importantly, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye!
Take care.